The young girls came up here for the summer, and of course it was my delight to teach them the square dance too. And one time one of them asked me, said, "What do you do up here in the winter time? It must be awfully dull." I said, "Well, no, we work harder in the winter time than we do in the summertime." "Well, what on earth do you do?" I said, "Figure out ways to separate you from your money when you come in the summertime."
Summer girls were just, that was like heaven. They would come up here starting usually in June after school was out. A few would spend a good part of the summer, but a lot of them came for a week or 2 weeks. And they would bring their girlfriends. So there's always a little conflict between the local girls and the summer girls.
Saluta's population increased by about 50% in the summertime.
People had summer homes up here from Columbia, Greenville, Spartanburg, Charleston, that they'd had in their family for years, and they would come up here and spend all summer. And the grandmas owned the houses, but the granddaughters came up here. And I remember all the good-looking summer girls that would come. I couldn't wait to go to square dancing with all the summer girls.
And this being the kind of town it was, us poor old country boys here, we couldn't wait for the summer because the summer girls would come in and we could dance with them over here.
Well, they attended the square dances, and when we were little boys, we were always glad to see the summer people came because they brought new girls to Saluda.
The boys would all think they were the greatest thing that ever was.
Yeah, biggest competition y'all had.
That's right.
Yeah, new blood.
New blood, that's right.
The Saluda girls were not very happy when the summer girls arrived.
And one of the things that the local girls would say, well, it's June, and we're getting out of school, I'm going to tell you goodbye, because I know you won't speak to me again till spring, till September. That was the joke, because that wasn't entirely true, but there was a little truth to it.
A lot of guys would have their wintertime girlfriends, then the summer girls would come and they just got abandoned for the summer. But they always tried to make up in the fall when the summer girls had to go back to school.
And a number of them had homes here and they'd stay all summer. Many of them just come for the weekends. But they came from a pretty wide area to the dances, and there's always plenty here.
We loved square dancing with all the summer girls that came up. And some would come up every year, and it would just became a real good friend that you would dance with and look forward to seeing. And, for a 13, 14, 15, 16-year-old boy, that was exciting.
4 Ogden sisters. Our home up on Pine Street, the big house, we call it, or the White House, they would come play ping pong with us one night of the week. And I'm sure Nikki and Mimi had their time when the boys would come up and play ping pong at your house. We still have the same ping pong table. And they'd still come up, and then the next night they would go see another set of summer girls. And it was the one, I can't think of her name, up on Judd's Peak.
Llewellyn Bellamy.
The Bellamy sisters. So then they go to the Bellamy sisters the next night, and there's nowhere else they would go. But the Saluda boys were adorable.
The summer people, they tended to spend more time with their own societies. They knew each other, they had common friends. They were more apt to having summer tea parties and little beer or wine drinking soirees in the afternoon. The locals didn't do that, they were out working.
And Clark Thompson wrote the sweetest article. Did you read it in the Saluda? And he spoke about Mimi and me, and that we were willing to dance with, proudly danced with all the Saluda young men. And well, I was honored that they would dance with me.
Nikki was the oldest of the Ogden daughters. She had a younger sister by the name of Mimi, who is deceased, but Mimi and I were the same age, and Nikki was maybe a couple of years older, and they were fun girls to dance with. It didn't matter who the person was, or the guys, or how much body odor they had. They had just as big a time dancing with them as anybody else. They never seemed to reflect that social status separation.
There were a lot of summer girls that the parents did not want them to be involved with us little boys. Absolutely not. And one of them is a friend of mine. I know her today, and she said, "You dated this little boys?"
I had 2 or 3 summertime girlfriends, but I was restricted to going to their house and sitting on the porch. Couldn't take them out. Or maybe there was a swing out in the yard. But along about 9 or 10 o'clock, the mother would come and say, call the girl by name. "You know what time it is? It's getting awfully late." It may be 9 or 10 o'clock. And you'd go home.
Even though they came from Greenville, South Carolina, you never saw them again. Greenville was like being in another state. Nobody got in the car and went anywhere.
I shouldn't tell you this probably, but I was just a poor, ignorant country boy, and no girl in high school gave me a second look, so I must have smelled bad. But anyway, there was plenty of opportunities there in the summer to hitch up, with a summer girl.
Bobby Whitaker called us tourists. Bobby, we've been coming forever. How can we be a tourist?
There was very little contact between the summer people and the local people on a social level, except for the square dances. And that's where both societies met and had a good time.
I love dancing with the mountain men.
They knew how to dance, and they could really swing you. Woo.
One was over here one night, and this boy came and he said, "Russell, if you don't dance with that girl, she's gonna cry her eyes out." So anyway, I went and danced with her.
Jan Hall and Bobby Whitaker and Mimi and I.
Bobby was crazy about Mimi, yeah.
And
Jan.
this was, we went out together and they played their guitars. It was one great song. I'm in the jailhouse now. In the jailhouse now.
Bob Whitaker, he played the music. He usually had the bands.
Bobby Whitaker?
He wasn't. He was cute.
Gorgeous.
I was nervous, and I looked at some, and I'd see who they danced with, and I'd kind of compare myself to them, and try to make them think I was more than just another pretty face and that they ought to dance with me, and they'd say yes.
It was awfully hot in the gymnasium. Sweat would pour off you when you square danced. Everybody was soaking wet, even the girls. But nobody seemed to care. And between sets of dances, people would go outside and sit on those rock steps by the school to try to cool off. Now, that was the only private moment you had with those girls, if you were a local. Because their mothers or fathers or aunts or grandmothers, somebody was hovering around to make sure there was no contamination of the seeds, okay? So at 12 o'clock, they were escorted home. We went on our way. Just had fond memories of dancing with pretty girls.
Show me a place where I don't have to hurt.